How do pirates know that they're pirates? They think, therefore they are. Hey everyone, I'm the Exalt Tai, and welcome to a unit review of Pirate Darros. He's the free Tempest Trials unit for this pirate themed banner, and I really like him. This review will go over his stats, compare him to his competition, skill synergy, allies, counters, build, and answer should you invest your heroic grails into Darros. As always, subscribe if you enjoyed. I do a lot of heroes content and there's more to come. Let's get started.
For my prince!
Darros Seawalker is an axe infantry unit. Right from the start, he boasts really good attack and defense. 36 attack is fantastic for dealing lots of damage, and 37 defense is great for taking lots of physical hits. That's further boosted by his solid HP, which allows him to tank more hits. Sadly, he's not able to do that well against magical units with that low res. His speed is okay at 32 and it is workable, but mostly at plus 10. 37 speed is much better, and this makes Darros rather interesting. He's got great attack and defense, so you'd think he would be a slow, bulky unit, but no, he's got some speed to back him up. He could run a pretty nice, fast offensive build with something like Swift Sparrow. Even Life and Death could work since he still has good defense. So Darros has a lot of potential and is pretty well rounded. But then, you compare him to other axe units. Youch. Darros is lacking in some attack. He's actually in 4th place in terms of attack. Eliwood and Ross are 1st and 2nd respectively. And Brave Ike has the advantage of 10 Dragonflowers instead of 5. He also doesn't have the same defensive capabilities like Ike since he doesn't have access to a personal weapon or a refine. But what about these three? Groom Hinata is optimized for the high attack, high defense stat line, which Darros is different from since he has speed. But compared to actual speed axe units, Darros is rather underwhelming. If you need a tank, then Hinata can do it better. If you need a speedy unit, then Linus or Summer Ilger can do it better. His biggest assets are his attack and defense. However, others can do much more damage with their higher attack power, and others have much higher defensive capabilities. He does have speed, but he's not a dedicated unit to running speed, so he's outclassed there. It's great that he's very flexible with his stat line, so he can run several builds, but then he doesn't excel as much as a character who specializes in those stats. Being well-rounded isn't always a bad thing, since if there's a bad situation, he'll have the speed to prevent doubles or the res to decently take a hit. But in the cases that you need him to excel, someone else can do better. That's a shame, but you know, he's not as bad as Summer Lawrence. He's got potential, and at least he can be a great unit for arena assault. So let's talk skill synergy. There's not much. Deck Swabber is a very interesting weapon, and it's pretty good. It's a mix of solo and lol. It's not super hard to not be adjacent to an ally, so it's a simple effect to use. Plus, it works with odd defense waves, as you still get the defense buff even if you're alone. Though, be careful of the flaws of visible buffs. Panic or neutralization, you know, the thing that Deck Swabber does, are commonly used, so it's not always helpful. Thankfully, Deck Swabber inflicts a combat reduction, so it's not affected by panic. That reduction is very helpful to Darros. Lowering the foe's attack helps out his defensive capabilities, and decreasing that defense increases his damage output. A very simple and effective weapon that works well with Darros' greatest assets. Earth Boost synergizes with its high HP, but boost skills suck. Way too inconsistent and outclassed. Maybe if we get a tier 4 version of it, it might be good, but until those power creeping days, just use something else. For skill fodder, probably only Deck Swabber. Boost is not good. Wave is alright and not a bad skill to use. As long as you account for its flaws, it can be pretty helpful. But not against Legion and his new refined axe. Man, Legion just tears people apart for using visible buffs, so be careful of that. Let's talk about some mates for the crew. Allies that can buff his attack and defense are very appreciated. Male Chris has joint drive attack, so he can support while not interfering with Deck Swabber. Other solo units do the same as well, being solo and not interfering with Deck Swabber. Strong red mages can destroy Darros, so consider bringing a blue tank to deal with them. And as we all know, you can obtain Fjorm from Book 2 Part 4 counters. Bond skills don't work well with Deck Swabber. What if you had a Bond unit get close to Darros so they can get their buff? And then enemy phase starts and he's still adjacent to the ally. That's not going to help Deck Swabber. As mentioned before, strong red mages like Lilina are dangerous for Darros. By the way, I made a how to build guide for Lilina and you can check it out right there in the iCard. Chill attack is also pretty nasty for Darros, same thing goes for chill defense. If you have other thoughts or builds for Darros, feel free to comment them down below. First build is a simple budget one, gotta save gold somehow. Sturdy Stance works pretty well with Deck Swabber and it increases bonfire damage. Lensbreaker is a pretty cheap budget option for those not looking to put too much investment. Double defense waves gives him +6 defense every turn, which is mighty helpful for defense tanking. Bonfire also gets a nice increase. Bonfire in general works really well with Darros, and it's probably going to be the go-to special. There is Ignis if you think he needs some more special damage, or you're using some skills that decrease the cooldown count. Draconic Aura can also work since he's got pretty good attack. Raptor Sky could work if he's tanking hits from high attack foes, but Bonfire is just consistent and reliable. Second build is another budget build. Brazen attack defense works amazing on Darros. He takes some damage and it's going to be hard to deal any more damage against 48 defense and the -5 attack debuff. You can always mix and match with the Brazens. He's got solid stats and know almost everything, so he can run different Brazens. While he's not attacking, he can provide some nice support with Shove and Link. You can change the Link or waves so the effects don't overlap, but odd defense wave only happens on odd turns, so having a consistent buff like Link might be better. Third build is the standard Steady Breath with Quick Repost. It's very simple. Stand alone without adjacent allies, tank the hit, and deal heavy damage with Bonfire. With Attack Smoke debuffing incoming foes, and Deck Swabber -5 attack debuff, Darros can take a good amount of hits. Though you might need some healing to keep using Quick Repost. Whether that's a healing special or a healer, you can choose. You can also use Slaying Axe instead, so Bonfire procs after one enemy hit, or use the Woe Gun for extra special damage. Fourth build takes the whole not adjacent thing a bit farther with solo skills. Thanks to Darros' great all-around stats, he can run Spectrum solo pretty well. A +10 low speed defense helps much more since he has better speed to make use of it. Actually, low skills in general work pretty well with Deck Swabber since combat reductions do stack. Darros has high HP, so Infantry Post is a good option to use. Something to be aware of, Attack Defense Solo 4 is on Pirate Veronica/Xander, who just got released, so that might be a bit expensive. Attack Defense Solo 3 works just as well if you don't have the seasonal luck. These next two builds don't use the Deck Swabber. Like any good high attack unit, Darros can run a pretty good Brave Axe Deathblow set. Since he's a melee infantry unit, he can also run Wrath for some extra special damage. And if you can get some attack buffs on him, then Draconic Aura might be better than Bonfire. But what matters most is that Wrath will help decrease the special cooldown count and increase your special damage. With this build, you just want to attack, attack, and attack. You can play a bit risky since he's got strong bulk to survive a hit. Last build, a Fateful Friend. This is the opposite for Deck Swabber. Darros wants to be close to his allies for this one. That way he'll get +8 to each stat during combat. It's rather simple, and it makes Darros a threatening unit. He can tank hits from both physical and magical, he can deal great damage, he can avoid speed doubles and maybe even get a double himself, and by being close to his allies, he can get more buffs like ally supports. No follow-up isn't needed, but it's very nice to shut down skills like fighter or maybe impact skills. Things that threaten Darros and his friends are not allowed. You can also mix and match with Bond so you can do different things. For example, right now we have attack speed bond 4 for the A slot, so you can use that and use defense res bond seal. Now, should you invest your heroic grails into Darros? He's got great attack and defense, solid HP, and speed that has great potential. Deck Swabber is a pretty nice weapon to use and to fodder. He's rather flexible with the build so you can experiment, and he's voiced by Sung Wong. He runs the Pro ZD channel, and you know, I think that enemy got the points. I know some people want to invest in him for the voice actor, and that's perfectly valid. On the no side, he's not a specialist, and his stats aren't stand out compared to others. Earth Boost sucks as fodder, and Wave is alright. And if you've already invested into another Axe unit, there might not be much worth and high investment for Darros. Defensive unit, Brave Ike. Fast offensive unit, Linus. High attack, high defense tank, Groom Hinata. So for a verdict, I wouldn't suggest investing into Darros. Hey, thanks for watching, subscribe and leave a like. You can find me and talk to me on Twitter at Exalt_Tai. I post updates for upcoming videos and more. But with all that, stay hydrated folks, and stay safe.